It's an honor to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Maurice Zekaria.
Okay, folks, we're gonna have some fun today, but my goal is to teach you, and so that you really come out of this thing tonight learning something about real estate and just life in general. So, thank you for the great introduction. Great to be here. I graduated from Hillel High School in 1997. I went to NYU Stern School of Business, graduated in 3 years, so I graduated in 2000. I'm married with 5 children. I own a company called Paramount Realty, which has 2 offices, one in Lakewood, New Jersey, one in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I have 75 employees, and we own and operate about 150 properties throughout the Northeast. So that's just quick. Let me just tell you what I do in Paramount. So Paramount Realty owns and operates, for the most part, shopping centers. Everyone knows what a shopping center is? Danny, what's a shopping center? A shopping center is a commercial property, usually located on a major highway. And it has stores, right? It has a grocery store, Home Depot, Walmart, Target. That's a shopping center, right? On Route 36, you all know where Route 36 is. We own the Home Depot shopping center with Dick's Sporting Goods, Ulta Cosmetics. So everyone knows what a shopping center is, right? Okay. Before I get into teaching, and I'm actually going to do some mathematic equations here on the whiteboard in a second. Let me tell you more importantly what I do, aside from business. And I wrote it down because it's extensive. Don't ask how this happened, but I'm the building chairman of Hillel Yeshiva. Building chairman means anything going on building-wise, expansion-wise, or renovation-wise, I run it. From soup to nuts, from design to getting the approvals from the town, from construction and bidding out the job with contractors, all the way to the end until the job is complete. And I don't take money for it. That's my give back to the community. So I'm the building chairman of Hillel Yeshiva. I'm the vice president of DSN. Everyone knows what DSN is, Community Center. I'm the president of Logan Community, which is a funeral home that we built in Ocean Township about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. That's a project that I run as well. I'm the building chairman of Larchwood Synagogue, which Danny is a member of, Mizrahi is a member of, Dweck is a member of. I'm the building chairman of the Kollel, Rabbi Diamond's Kollel. We're doing an expansion starting in September. I'm the vice president of the Shore Area Mikveh, which everyone knows what a mikveh is, on Norwood Avenue. There's a ladies' mikveh. We just renovated the whole thing, and I'm the vice president on that board. I'm the former president of SAFE. Everyone knows what SAFE is? SAFE of New Jersey. It helps people with addiction problems. I'm on the advisory board of the Deal Casino in Deal, New Jersey. I'm on the board of trustees for Monmouth Medical Foundation, the hospital. And that's basically it. So why do I do all that stuff? First, I didn't start. First of all, the first time I got involved in anything was, I think I was 30 years old. So I'm 46 right now. So I'll be 46 in April. So I started, let's just say mid-career. And then from there, I got involved in one, and then it just led to more and more and more and more. I love doing it. Do I have the time? No, but everyone has time. Anyone who says I'm too busy or there's no time, you have time to do everything. It's just about how you manage your time. So before I give you some business advice and some life lessons, we're going to quickly, because I really want you to learn something here today about real estate. First of all, this is a shopping center, just to give you an idea. This is an old mall in West Manchester, Pennsylvania, that we bought. It used to be a mall. Everyone knows what a mall is. An enclosed mall is when you go inside and you shop. There's 100 stores inside. Most malls are going out of business today. So this was a mall that was demalled. So everything was turned inside out. So we have Kohl's, Burlington, Hobby Lobby, Home Goods, DSW. These names ring a bell? Petco, At Home, Walmart. All these names ring a bell, right? So we bought this a few years ago. And what the seller failed to realize, and what we realized, is that there was a lot of property back here. So ignore this for now. Right now, this is all parking lot. But there was all this property in the back that was just sitting there. So when we bought it, in the back of my mind, it was great shopping center, Walmart. We're buying it right. We're going to make money. We're going to make a good return. But wait a minute. There's all this area in the back. Maybe there's something we can do with it. So I put together a team, architects, engineers, attorneys, and we went to sit with the township, West Manchester Township, and we wowed them. We told them about our portfolio, about our history, and we said, look, we want to take this area in the back. We want to build 500 residential units, townhouses, apartments. We want to build self-storage. We want to build a hotel. We want to build assisted living. And it's been 2 years, but they bought into it, and they're giving us the approval. And we're going to either build it or probably sell it off. But what I wanted you to see here is basically what a typical shopping center might look like on a highway. But then using strategy and thinking outside the box to say, all right, how am I going to add value to this property? How am I going to make it even more successful? Okay, so that's quickly one of the projects we're working on. So let's do one math equation here. It's not really an equation. I'm taking you through how do you value a property? Anyone know how to value an income-producing property? What is an income-producing property, first of all? It means that you're buying a property like a shopping center where the tenants are paying a landlord, me in this example, rent every month, right? Carl's in the real estate business. His tenants pay him rent. Home Depot, Walmart, they pay us rent every month. So let's just say there's a shopping center with 10 tenants. And by the way, I'm going to test you all throughout the process to make sure you're listening and to make sure you get something out of it. So really pay attention and take notes if you can. So let's just say there's a shopping center with 10 tenants, and each of the tenants are paying $100,000 a year in rent. Okay? So how much? 100,000 times 10 tenants. How much rent are we taking in? $1 million, right? So $1 million. This is what's coming in annually. Now in shopping centers, most of the leases are what's called triple net. That means all the tenants also reimburse for all of your operating expenses. So in this example, in a shopping center, if they're all reimbursing me for all the expenses, then it's all basically profit, we'll call it, right? So we're going to call this a net operating, I don't have great handwriting, income. Or we call it, in short, NOI. Remember that. Okay, that's the NOI. You have to know this. If you want to get into real estate or you want to understand real estate, you have to know what that term means. NOI, net operating income, is basically your net rental income. That's what you have at the end of the day. Now that assumes you have no mortgage. That doesn't assume you have more. If you have a mortgage, then that would come off of the $1 million. So let's just say in this example that the property is worth, this is the next term now. Cap rate. Anyone know what a cap rate is? Nobody knows what a cap rate is. Okay, cap rate stands for capitalization rate. Okay? That's how the entire real estate world values real estate, what's called a cap rate. Cap rate is NOI. So cap rate, very important. You have to know this, equals NOI divided by purchase price. So what does that mean? That means that in this example, right? In this example, it's bringing in $1 million. If I want to buy it at a 10 cap means a 10 multiple in this example. That means I multiply 10 times $1 million. So my purchase price, and if this property is for sale and I want to buy it at a 10 cap, I'm going to buy it for how much? 10 million. Everyone understand that? Does everyone understand that? NOI divided by purchase price, right? If you take a calculator, 1 million divided by 10 million is what? Is 10%. That means I bought it at a 10% cap rate. So cap rate is in percentage. Okay, so NOI divided by purchase price is equals 10%. That means that if I buy the property all cash with no mortgage, what's my return on my investment? If I put up $10 million cash, right? I go to all of you and we all invest in it together, and we put up $10 million cash. How much are we going to earn on our money? 10%. We buy it all cash, we're going to make 10%. Good return, right? In the bank, in the olden days, right? A few years ago, you were earning 0% or 1% in the bank. Now you're earning like 4% depending on the bank because things change, market conditions. But so 10% sounds pretty good, right? Now there's a lot of other factors. You have to make sure your tenants are good credit. You have to make sure the leases, the rents are not too high. There's a lot of different things you have to take into account when you're buying a property. It's not that every property in the world, if you buy it at a 10 cap, you're guaranteed to make 10%, unless you buy a property, let's just say it has a Walmart. You're buying a single tenant Walmart property that Walmart's paying you. Let's say Walmart pays $1 million and they signed a 30-year lease. You're pretty confident Walmart's not going out of business anytime soon. So in that example, you're making your 10% and nothing else to think about. Okay, now what? Most people don't have $10 million cash to go buy a property. So what do they have to do? Get a loan. So loans, usually you get between 60 and 80%, depending on how the market is. We're going to use 75%. So 75% of 10 million, 7.5 million. Danny, when you buy a property, so hold on. So how much money do I need? How much cash do I need in this example? Buying it for 10, getting a mortgage for 7.5. No, you. I'm getting a mortgage for 7.5. I'm buying for 10. How much cash do I need? 2.5. Okay, good. Then there's also something called closing costs, right? When you buy a property, you have to pay a lawyer, you have to pay a mansion tax, you have to pay this, you have to pay that, title insurance. So anyway, I'm going to say 500,000 of closing costs. So how much cash do I need? 3 million bucks. Okay, very good. So far, so good. Everyone follows me. We're buying a property for 10 million. We need 3 million of cash to buy this property. The bank's giving us 7.5. So now, what's my return on my investment? Does anyone know? We didn't get there yet, so there's no way you're going to know. How much? So I said before we have $1 million coming in, but now I have a mortgage of 7.5 million. Right? Everyone knows what a mortgage means, right? Do you know what a mortgage means? You know what the 7.5 million is? Where am I getting that from? Where am I getting the 7.5 million? You know. Think about it. Think about it. Where am I going to get a bank, exactly. I'm getting 7.5 million from a bank. So loan could also be called debt. Debt, loan, those are synonymous terms. Write that down. A loan is also debt, is also a mortgage. Those three words are pretty much the same. Loan, debt, mortgage, bank, all the same. So a bank's going to lend me $7.5 million. They're going to charge me today roughly, we're going to call it 6%. Might be a little higher, but right now 6%. So what's 6% of 7.5 million? Anyone know? Anyone have a calculator? No one has a calculator? No one, you're not allowed to have a phone here? What's 6% of, I didn't even write it down. So it's about, let's just call it four something, right? Okay, but in addition to paying interest every month, right? So I'm borrowing money from the bank, but I got to pay them back monthly. I have to pay them back monthly. Interest and principal. Anyone know what that means? You know what interest means? No? Interest is, the bank is charging me. They're not going to just give me 7.5 million for free. They have to charge me interest. It's called interest. Okay, so you have to write that down. They're going to charge me interest. Okay? That's how they make money. That's how the banks make money. They lend you money, and then they charge you interest. Also, you have to pay back their principal balance every month as well. That's called amortization. Write that down. Amortization. So if I borrow 7.5 million and I pay them down, let's just say every year, let's just say the interest is 450, and the amortization, also called principal payment, you have to write that down. Very important. Please write it down. Okay, so in this example, my mortgage payment is how much? 550,000. Right? I have 450 in interest. That's all profit to the bank. And then I'm paid down the mortgage every year 100 grand. So after the first year, how much do I owe them? No, you pay it monthly in your mortgage payment every month. But right, for now, we're talking about annual interest and principal payment. So 550, I'm paying the bank, right? 100,000 is paying principal. So after year one, what do I owe the bank? After the first year, what am I going to owe the bank? 7.4 million, right? Because I paid them down 100,000 the first year, and I also paid them interest. That's their profit. So in my example now, my payment is 550 of debt. We call it debt service. We're almost done here, and then we'll move on. But this is very important. So now I have $1 million. Going back to here, I have $1 million, right, of net income, minus what? Someone help me. Minus, what's my debt service? What's my interest and principal payment annually here? 550. So what's my cash flow? Another great term you have to know. Cash flow. Cash flow is how much cash do I have at the end of the day to put in my pocket for this investment? How much do I have? 450,000 of cash flow. So what's my return on investment? I put up how much? How much did I put up? I didn't put up 10 million. I borrowed money. I put up how much? 3 million. And what's my return? What's my cash flow? 450. So 450 divided by what? Divided by 3 million is 15%, right? So on this investment, if I bought it all cash for 10 million, I'm making 10% of my money. If I borrow money from the bank, and I put up 3 million instead of 10, I'm making 15% of my money. Great, no? Real estate's a great business, right? Okay, that's the easy part. This is very easy. This sounds great. I make 15% of my money. I'm thrilled, right? Okay, but now you understand how it works. You buy a property based on how much net income it has, right? You come up with its value based on what's called a cap rate, okay? But basically what it is, it's a multiple of the net income. So I use 10 because it's easy. 10 cap means 10 times. But it's just an equation, NOI divided by price. But if the property's great, right? Let's just say the property's unbelievable. Now, so instead of paying 10 times net income, I'm going to pay how much? Maybe 20 times? What's the cap rate? If I pay 20 times, so in this example, 20 times a million is what? 20 million. So for the same property, in great times, when money's everywhere, they may pay me 20 million for the same property. Why? Because maybe interest rates are lower. There's just more money out there. So that is what kind of cap rate? Can anyone tell me? I'd be very excited if anyone can tell me what kind of cap rate that is. Tao, what's the cap rate? Your net income's $1 million. Someone paid me 20 million. What's my cap rate? 5%, right? And $1 million divided by 20 million is 5%. So in that example, someone paid me a 5 cap. So the lower the cap rate, the more money they're paying me. If I'm selling a property, all right, it sounds like the opposite. You would think 5%, they're paying me less. They're paying me more. They're making less. They're making 5% instead of 10, but I'm making more. Okay, you got it? Everyone got it? No, any questions? Any questions? Okay. I want to do one more thing before I get into business advice, and that is, anyone know what a 1031 exchange is? Mizrahi, 1031 exchange? It's like a what? No. Dweck, 1031 exchange? Mamie? Okay. Crucial that you understand this. Very important. You have to leave this understanding what a 1031 exchange is. A 1031 exchange means if I want to sell this property, right, for 10 million or 20 million, you okay? If I want to sell this property for 10 million or 20 million, right? In good times, I'm going to get 20 million at a 5 cap. In not so good times, I'm going to get 10 million at a 10 cap, right? Now, I don't want to pay tax. I don't want to pay tax to the government because if I pay tax, if I bought it for 10 and I sell it for 20, $10 million profit, I'm going to have to pay Uncle Sam probably millions of dollars. I don't want to pay tax. What am I going to do? You know, so how do you avoid paying tax? You never avoid it, but you defer it. It means you owe it later on. Okay, but for now, you don't pay any tax. So how do you do that? You have to go buy. If I sell the property for 20 million, I got to go buy another property for at least 20 million. You got it, Danny? If I sell the Home Depot shopping center on Route 36, let's just say I bought it for 10 million. Now someone, your Uncle Mashery, calls me and says, I want to buy it for 20 million. You're going to make a $10 million profit. I say, great, 10 million profit in a year, I'm thrilled. But I don't want to pay 4 or 5 million to the government in tax. So what do? I have to go find what's called a replacement property. It's called a 1031 exchange. So what do? I have to go find, if I sell it for 20, I have to go find the property for at least 20. I can buy multiple properties. I can buy 3 properties. I can buy 4 properties at 5 million apiece. But I have to buy it for at least 20. And what happens is you don't have to pay any tax on that. So why would I do that? Why would I sell something to go buy something else? For what reason? So probably maybe I'm selling at a 5 cap, great, but I'm going to go buy something at a higher cap rate, and I'll make the difference. So we'll do one quick example, very, very quick. So let's just say I bought a property for 5 million. I really don't want to delete that. This is gold. Okay, let's just say I bought a property for 5 million, and I bought it at a 10 cap. That means the net income was 500,000, right? It has no mortgage. Let's just say no mortgage. 500,000 is the net income. All the tenants pay me. Let's just say there's 5 tenants and they each pay me 100,000 apiece, so I'm getting 500,000, right? And I buy it at 5 million. Now, a few years go by, I increase the rents, I do great. My net income goes to 800,000. I filled some vacancy, right? Because you know everyone knows what a vacancy is, right? Towel, what's a vacancy? If there's an empty store in the shopping center, and then I lease it, I fill the vacancy. Now it's occupied, right? Okay. So now I buy for 5, and say I'm going to sell for 15 million now. And then say I sell it at a 6 cap or something on the 800,000, 15 million. And so my profit's 10 million. What do I have to? Hey, Morris, how are you? So now I sold for 15. Now I got to go buy something for 15, right? Let's just say I buy something for 15 at a 10 cap. What's my net income? If I buy something for 15 and I'm buying it at a 10 cap, what am I paying? What's my net income? What's my net income? If I buy something for, just divide it by 10. What's my net income if I buy a property for 15 million? 1.5. So in this example, I bought a property for 5. I sold it 10 years later for 15. I bought another property for 15, right? Now I'm going to compare it. Why did I do this? Because I was making $800,000 a year on the first property, but on the second property I'm making how much? Almost double. So I doubled my cash flow and I paid 0 tax to the government. Sounds good, right? If they take away 1031 exchange, we're in big trouble. Okay, so I just taught you very basics of real estate, how to value a property, terms that you have to remember forever, net operating income.
How long do you have to buy the?
Oh, great question. So when you sell the property, you have 45 days to identify your replacement property or properties, and then you have an additional 4.5 months to close on the acquisition. So you have 6 months from closing to finish your 1031 exchange. Okay? So you learned some great terms here: net income, cap rate, debt, right? Debt. My debt is $7.5 million, or my loan. It's a synonymous term. From where do I get the loan? Where do I get the debt from? Bank. What's my cash? What's my after I pay the mortgage payment off, and I have what's called cash flow. Where is it? I don't know. I lost it already. But my cash flow in this example, my debt service, right? My interest and principal payment was $550 from my million, and my cash flow is $450. And my return here was 15%. Remember that? So cash flow, net income, debt service. Okay, well, I'll test you again when I'm done. Let's talk about some key business factors now, okay? Yeah, take a picture of that. Even though it's, yeah. This is my cash flow. I wish I had neater handwriting, but you'll remember. I'll email all of you some of these notes. Okay. All right, now listen carefully. I touched upon it here, but in any business, forget real estate. But real estate, I'll focus on real estate, but any business, you need to figure out how to raise capital. What's capital? Danny, what's capital? Capital is money, okay? If Carl Gross, right, wants to go buy a new property tomorrow, he needs money, right? He needs capital. He needs debt, right? He needs debt and he needs cash, what we call equity. So cash and equity are the same term also. Remember that. When someone says, how much equity do you have in the property, it means cash. If someone says, how much debt do you have, that means how much of your loan. But in any business, if you want to grow the business, you want to buy real estate, you need cash, right? And when you first get started, you guys are young. You're in 11th grade for the most part. If you want to get into the real estate business tomorrow, how are you going to do it? You have money. You have 100 million in your account. You have 10 million in your account. Probably not. So where are you going to get the money? You need to go find it, right? You have to create relationships with what? With banks, right? Because you need mortgages, and then you need to find cash from investors, from partners. So no matter what business you're in, you need access to capital. You need money. That's number one. So when I was young, right, when I first got into the business, I attached myself to somebody who at the time had money compared to me especially. I had nothing. I had zero money. I got married when I was 21. I graduated from NYU Stern in August of 2000. I got married in August of 2000, a week later. And I did have $100,000 in my bank account because my grandfather used to give me birthday money for my whole life, and it built up. So I had $100,000. But that is not enough to go build a business and to buy real estate. So what did I do? I attached myself to somebody who had money, and he was impressed by me because I was a hard worker. I had a great work ethic, and we'll get to that in a second. But I attached myself. So all of you, my advice, first piece of advice is you need to attach yourself to someone or a company that has money to support whatever idea you have or whatever ambition you have. That's very, very important. Got it? Okay. And then once you find that person and you're working for them, you don't want to be a pig. Meaning you don't want to ask for too much money in salary. You don't want to ask for too much bonus. You don't want to ask for too much commission. You want to almost work for nothing just to impress them and to get them so attached to the hip to you that they want to do anything you want. So that's the goal. You have to attach to somebody, and then you're not going to be a pig and try to, I want this commission. You work for free. Whatever it takes. You just attach yourself to that person. The other thing is, most of you, not all of you, live in the Syrian Sephardic community. Some of you don't, but I'll just talk from that community. I suggest you leverage this community. It's one of the most successful and philanthropic communities in the world. And the fact that they're right here at your fingertips, you want to leverage that in any way. So if you're in real estate, how do you leverage the Syrian community? That maybe I call Maurice Sutton. I have a new deal, and I say, Maurice, I have this new deal. I don't have $3 million. Can you want to invest $500,000? He says, why would I invest with you? Well, I'm going to have to prove to him, number one, that it's a good investment. Number two, that I'm a trustworthy guy. Maybe I have a good track record. Maybe I did great in high school and college. Whatever it is, I have to impress him. I have to get him to trust me, and then I have to prove myself. But and it doesn't have to be real estate. It could be anything. It could be if you, and my father always taught me when I was younger, do something where people are going to pay you for like your brain, like your work here, not to go sell a piece of not to sell something in a retail store, but people pay you for your knowledge or your expertise or your service. So if you're in the service industry, the Syrian community is great, right? If you're a party planner, you go to the Syrian community, like Doris Dweck and Norma, everyone knows those names probably. They pay them a lot of money to take care of their weddings. If you're a photographer, so you have the ability to leverage the community we live in to the fullest, because it's a very successful community, and there's potential. There's a lot of upside opportunity. There's also money in the institutional world. Does anyone know what that means? Institutional world? What does that mean? Anyone know? Maybe? No. Okay, so from 2006 to 2009, I went to Manhattan twice a week for 3 years, and I did a road show. Me, my brother, and I, we went to institutions all over New York, and we pitched our business and said, hey, I've been in the business for 10 years, and I'm coming to you, right? Who am I going to? I'm going to these big companies, Goldman Sachs, Apollo, all these huge companies in Manhattan. They have billions and billions of dollars to invest. They're right now, there's $6 trillion of money sitting on the sidelines to invest in people that operate, whether it's real estate or other businesses, but mainly real estate, $6 trillion waiting on the sidelines to invest. So there's an opportunity for all of you, once you get older, to tap into that. Tap into the institutions, all these corporations in the city. I say the city because that's where most of them are headquartered, but they're all over the world. There's Israeli money. I've done 17 joint ventures with an Israeli company, publicly traded on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. Well, how did I meet them? By chance, Hashem. We'll get to Hashem in a second. But so there's money out there everywhere. You need to tap into it if you want to be successful. And we'll get to that too. But if you don't want to be successful, then get a job, make a salary, and you'll be okay, hopefully. But it's very expensive. Going back to the Syrian community, I'm sure it's the Ashkenaz community as well. It's not cheap to live a life with your family, send your kids to private school, camp, go on vacations. It is very, very, very expensive. And then you have to take care of your kids and your grandkids and houses and this and that. You need to, if you're looking for mediocrity, or if you're looking just to get by, then continue on your cell phone, social media at night, watching YouTube. It's all a waste of time. You have to really focus your brain from now. It's not too late. I started with his father, Danny's dad, Sandy. We were in the same class in 5th grade. And from 5th grade on, we cared about every test score. I didn't want anything less than 100. That was just in me. I don't know why, but my work ethic was there since 5th grade. If you don't have good work ethic now, it's not too late. It is not too late. Start right this second. But what does that mean, work ethic? What does that really mean? Work ethic means you care so much about your grades. Right now you're in school, so let's just focus on grades. You have to care so much about your grades. If you get anything less than 100, you should be disappointed. That's my opinion. Anything less than 100, that's the only way, and it's not too late. It is not too late for you to change your brain focus from now, because if you don't have that mindset, you're pretty much, I can bet that you're not going to be successful when you get old. You might get lucky, but if you don't have the work ethic that I have, you're not going to be in that place. And the work ethic you need is to legitimately seek perfection every single day in everything that you do, right? In everything that you do. Let's see what else before I move on. I'm running out of time, or no? Okay. Okay. I just want to also say, when times are bad, right? So like COVID, right? Or in 2008 when the stock market crashed, that's when my company was most successful and we were most active. That's when I made my most money. When the market was bad, when the recession came, or when COVID came. When COVID came, everyone was out and about, they were walking around the block during the day. They were playing PlayStation. I did not leave my home office for 2 months or a month and a half. I did not leave. I was in the office. I prayed in the morning. I was in the office, home office from 7 a.m. till midnight every single night. I never worked harder in my life during COVID. I had other issues to take care of. My tenants couldn't pay rent. My lenders wanted their money for their interest and principal payment every month, and I couldn't pay because there was no tenants paying me any rent. I won't get into details, but I bought $200 million worth of property in 2020. COVID year when everyone was sleeping, we were sitting on the sidelines, we did our most acquisitions. That wasn't the most in any given year, but it was close. $200 million of acquisitions. We bought 5 properties. During COVID, banks weren't lending money. I met my banks out at sites with masks on. The windows were boarded up in wood, and I had to convince my lender at Investors Bank and Provident Bank to lend me money. But they lent me money because I have a good track record. I've been working with them for 25 years, blah, 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 blah. So in bad times, that's when you focus and you don't just say, oh, it's bad. Times are bad. I got to just sit on the sidelines. No. That's when you work the hardest. Okay? And then I'm going to skip around because there's not enough time. Let's go back to, hold on. Let's go back to just typical. I talked about work ethic. I talked about your cell phones. You really, I can't stress it enough. If you have Instagram and you have Snapchat, whatever it's called, and TikTok, whatever, try to delete it. I know it's hard. I know it's very hard, but try to delete it. It's hard for me. I want to go on Instagram sometimes, but I delete it. Why? You can sit on there. You can sit on there for hours, and you just waste all of that time. Instead, what can you be doing? You could be reading a book. There's insane books out there that will help you prepare for business. There's amazing books. Email me. I'll send you 10 books to read. It's boring to read, but you don't have to start with 5 pages, 10 pages, but books. Get a newspaper. When was the last time any of you picked up a newspaper? Probably never, right? You don't want to get your hands dirty. There's something called a classified section in a newspaper. You go in there and you do what's called cold call. Anyone know what a cold call is? You know what a cold call is? You know what a cold call is? What's a cold call?
You call someone if they had any interest in your business.
Okay, good. When you start in any business you're going to start in, you have to do what's called cold calling. You have to open. I used to open up a Yellow Pages. We didn't have Google, whatever they have now, but you make phone calls. So in my business, I had to make phone calls to property owners. I had to say, "Hi, it's Maurice Zekaria from Paramount Realty. I'm interested in buying your property. Who are you?" So I had to come up with a pitch, and I had to show them why they should be talking to me. You have like 6 seconds. Whoever you're calling, you have about 5 or 6 seconds to grasp their attention. Otherwise, they're going to hang up on your face and say, "I'm not interested." So that's another piece of advice. You have to be prepared with everything that you do, even a cold call. So cold call means, in my example, I was calling business. I would call Carl Gross at the time. I probably did call him in probably 2000, 2001 and say, "Hey, I'd like to buy your shopping center on West Park Avenue and 35, Town Center." I definitely called him, and he probably said, "No, not interested. We're not sellers." And he did say that. But I remember every owner that told me no, yes, no, yes. And I used to do it from a book. We didn't have any of this. I didn't even have email at the time. But cold calls, you should not leave the office on any given day. And I know a lot of you are not in offices yet, but you will be very, very soon, especially if you get an internship. You should not leave unless you do a certain amount of cold calls every single day. I'm not going to leave the office unless I make 5 calls to strangers today. Right? You were making calls this summer for the business you were in, right? For the FedEx delivery stuff, right? You were making cold calls, right? You cold called me one day. Very important to cold call. Just call people, talk to them on the phone, just start yapping to anybody. Go in the newspaper. I went into the newspaper in 1997 and I saw Gerald Development, some developer, I don't know if you know, some developer in Wall Township. He had a nice ad about some new residential development he was building. And my grandfather owned a property in Neptune on the water, Shark River, and he wanted to sell it. I'm 16 years old. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I went to, my father told me, read the freaking newspaper. I opened the newspaper. I see this Gerald Development. He's advertising some new house that he's just built. I called him. I said, my grandfather owns a property on the water in Neptune. Are you interested? He goes, I'm definitely interested. I went to his office. I didn't have a driver's license. My mom took me to his office, and I showed him the property, and he bought it. He paid $3-4 million. I don't know what it was. And I made a commission of 50 grand. I was 16 years old. I was in the real estate business. That was it. That was my first. But if I had that happen, I called a stranger in the newspaper who was advertising. Point is, be on the lookout from now, because first of all, your wife, I'll focus on the guys, your wife brings you all the luck. That's when you start making money, when you have a wife, okay? Trust me on that. And number two, it helps you focus and get motivated from a young age. The next thing is Hashem. Of course, going to shul, praying, all of that is great. You have to understand that every moment is once you understand that every moment is being orchestrated by Hashem, by God, then it doesn't matter if you have a good day, you have a bad day. It's what Hashem wanted today, right? I didn't have a great day this morning. I had Costco call me and tell me I was working on a deal and Costco was going to come in and sign a lease with me, and they were going to build their own building on one of my properties. And they told me this morning, not interested. After 3 months of back and forth plans, is that? So it could have killed my day. I could have called the rabbi and said, I'm not coming tonight. I'm depressed. But no, this is what Hashem wanted today. If you really understand that, your life will be a lot better, and also gravitate towards good rabbis. There's amazing rabbis in this community. Gravitate towards them, call them, meet them, talk to them in shul, whatever it is, seek advice from them. Very, very, very important to do that. And then we talked about social media, but smoking, gambling, I know it's like everyone tells you that. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't speed, don't. So important for two reasons. One is, it's going to ruin your life, right? If you become you're addicted gambler or you're addicted to drinking, right? It's nonsense. It's all total nonsense that is a waste of your time and energy. And you think you're having fun drinking. It's no fun. It doesn't taste good. Don't do it. There's no reason to do it. You hear Trump. Trump never drank. He never smoked. And everything. Trust me, do not do it. But also, going back to my example here, if I call Mr. Sutton and I say, I'm looking for $3 million do this deal. Maurice, do you have any interest in investing? If he saw me at a wedding and I'm drinking and I'm smoking, or he sees me in the parking lot, zoom out of the parking lot in my Porsche, or if he sees me doing something like that, he's going to think twice about investing with me. So your image, your reputation is key. You're not going to be able to go. We talked about capital, right? In any business, you need to raise capital. Cash, no one's going to give you cash if they think you're a crazy spender, if they think you're going to go gamble, if they see you in the casino. I don't go in the casino. How could I let one of my investors, right? I have, just so you know, I didn't really touch upon this, but I have a very large group of investors, mostly from the community, that give me money when I have a deal. They trust me with their money. So I have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of people's money that is on me. If I screw up, you're only as good, remember this line, you're only as good as your last deal. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been doing this for 30 years, but I've been doing this with investors' money for 25 years, and they've been getting returns for 25 years. But if I screw up tomorrow on one deal, they're going to forget about the first 25 years. They're just going to focus on, oh man, we just lost $1 million with Zekaria. So you're only as good as your last deal. If one of my investors sees me in a casino gambling, why would they invest with me again? So your image, your reputation is everything in this business. Eagles fly alone, right? Eagles fly alone. An eagle is like a premier bird, right? But they fly alone. The point of that quote is that you don't need, to always be hanging out with so many friends and going out for dinner. You focus in, do your thing. You don't have to be part of the masses all the time. Eagles fly alone. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Who you hang out with is basically what people think of you. So make sure you hang out with the right friends. I think that concludes my night, guys.